Okay, so have you heard about this new Chinese film, Her Story?
Yeah, I saw the review on MovieKaTicket. Looks pretty good.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit more today and see if Her Story is actually worth watching.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think this one might be special, especially with the director, Shao Yihui. She's great. You might remember her from Be For Busy.
Oh yeah.
It did really well a couple years ago. And it seems like she just has this talent for finding these like really meaningful stories in like everyday life.
Yeah, I remember that from Be For Busy, so
Mhm.
maybe we'll see a little bit more of that in Her Story.
Maybe, yeah.
I also noticed that this movie is set in Shanghai.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Now, setting in Chinese cinema, I mean, sometimes it feels like it's more than just a setting. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. It's like another character,
Yeah.
like it really impacts the story.
Yeah, and Shanghai, I mean, come on, such a visually interesting city.
Definitely. All the lights, the energy. Yeah, it's going to be cool to see how that plays into the film.
All right, so the characters. There are three main characters according to the review.
Right. So you've got Wang Tiemei. She's a single mom, got a daughter named Wang Moli, and then there's their neighbor, Xiao Ye. She's the free spirit of the group.
Oh, I love a good free spirit.
Yeah.
And they mentioned the chemistry between these characters. So what stood out to you in the review?
Well, it seems like the relationship between Wang Taimei and Xiao Ye is kind of at the center of it all, right? You've got Wang Taimei, who's very practical, kind of down to earth, and then you have Xiao Ye, who's, well, a little more spontaneous.
And now you see some funny moments between those two.
Totally. And probably some heartwarming ones too, right? It sounds like a really interesting dynamic.
Definitely. But we can't forget about the guys. There are a couple of male characters in the mix, too.
Oh, right. So you have Wang Taimei's ex-husband. He's obviously going to add a little complexity to her life, right? Past relationships, co-parenting, all that.
Yeah, that's never simple.
No, not at all. And then there's Zhao Ma. He's Wang Moli, so the daughter's drum teacher. Interesting addition, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. I wonder what kind of role he plays in the whole thing.
I'm not sure, but the reviewer did say that all of the male characters, so both of them, really highlight the complexities of modern womanhood. So maybe they're there to show how women are navigating relationships and, striving for empowerment in today's world.
And we know Shao Yihui isn't afraid to tackle those kinds of themes. I mean, look at Be For Busy.
Exactly. So it's exciting to see how she might be, building on those themes in her story.
So this is kind of a continuation of what she did in Be For Busy,
Hmm.
in a way, focusing on women's lives. But how is her story different?
That's a good question. Well, the review mentioned this idea of meticulous direction. Maybe she's taking a more nuanced approach with this film, like really digging deep into the characters' emotions and experiences.
Yeah, like showing us not just the big moments, but the small ones, too.
Exactly. Because those small moments, those quiet moments, they can be just as powerful, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they can say a lot about, resilience and just the overall strength of women like Wang Taimei.
Definitely. It's like we're not just seeing them survive, we're seeing them thrive, and
Yeah.
that's a powerful message.
Absolutely. And then there's the whole idea of self-love, right?
Mm-hmm. Finding your voice, figuring out who you are in the middle of all the chaos. That seems to be a big part of this film, too.
Sounds like it. The review also praised Song Jia's performance as Wang Taimei. They called it powerful and relatable.
Oh, that's great to hear.
And they said the dialogue is really sharp. So I think this could be a really, really engaging film,
I think so, too. It sounds like Shao Yihui has really created a space for these women's stories to be told in a genuine way. Like she's letting them speak for themselves, and that's really powerful.
All right, so what's the bottom line? Does MovieKaTicket think this is a movie we should all be watching?
Absolutely. They gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. They were super impressed with everything. The story, the acting, the direction, they loved it all. They said it's a really rewarding movie to watch.
Wow. So Her Story sounds like a pretty amazing film. Single
Yeah.
mom and her free-spirited neighbor in Shanghai. There's humor, there's vulnerability, and there's a lot of heart. But here's something I'm curious about. Do you think this film could spark some bigger conversations? Like about women's roles in China today and how those roles are changing? It definitely makes me think about that.
Yeah, I think it definitely could. I think it'll be interesting to see how audiences react to this movie and what kind of discussions it sparks.
Definitely something to think about.
All right.
Well, Her Story, it's on my list now. Definitely going to check that out.
Me too.
All right, well, that's our deep dive into Her Story. Until next time.
See you then.